tapped into the Whiskey and Wisdom podcast. Welcome back. As always, it's brought to you by the good brothers, Mike,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Tyrone in the building,
What up? What up?
and myself, Bruce, here for another one, man. We took a week off last week, man. Took a week off. We back though. You know, it was voting time. We had to go ahead and make sure we put our votes in and console the people who needed the help on how they should be voting and stuff like that. But we made it through, man. We made it through. How y'all couple of weeks been?
It's been busy, man. Busy and blessed, though. I'm still blessed, but it's been a pair of busy weeks.
Yeah, I echo that same sentiment. It's definitely been busy, hectic, but blessed nonetheless, man, for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Hey, man, I'm glad to hear it, bro. I'm glad to hear both of y'all are blessed. Telling you, song coming out next playlist.
How you past 2 weeks been, brother?
Hey, man, restful. Definitely was. I wanted the pod, but it was definitely like, man, yo, I'll take this week off. It felt good.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Good to step away once in a while, man. Get your energy back. Get it rolling again.
Yeah. I appreciate it, brothers, man. So, what we gonna go with right now, man? Like, we ain't got no questions. I ain't getting no question of the week. Let's see. Let's go right into it then. Voting. Well, how was y'all voting experience yourselves, man? Before we break it out further than that, man. You know, today is Sunday, and we're recording after the official announcement, but we're gonna dial it back for the people who didn't get it his last week, and they wondering like, how was y'all voting experience last week?
Well,
this week actually. My bad.
No. You it felt like it's been a couple weeks.
Yeah, man.
It was good. We actually got a chance to do some early voting a couple weeks ago, and in that time frame. So we went out and we actually found my wife found a pretty cool app that they developed where you can actually see the early voting sites and the polls and actually figure out how much time it's estimated for you to actually go in and vote. So it was pretty interesting. We went on a Friday afternoon. I took my lunch break and she was off, so we went out there Friday and took about maybe 30 minutes, honestly, to go in, wait around. They had everything spaced out, socially distanced, and people were fairly nice. I don't think there was a lot of conversation or chatter, so I you can kind of tell the election had people kind of on edge, just in a lot of different regards. So but my wife and I, we made a good time of it, had fun with it, and kind of laughed and joked on the line, and we went and did our thing, man. That was pretty much it.
Yeah, man. We decided to do ours from the house, and we did do it early. I'll be honest, this was the first year that we really dived in. Took the time to actually go through and kind of see what both candidates, or in some situations multiple candidates, what their viewpoints were and how they would affect us in the future. And it was a good experience. It did take some time, but what else is more important than to take your time and choose somebody that's really going to represent you and bring about some change for whatever you stand for. But I had a couple conversations. Well, no, I ain't gonna get into that yet. First, Bruce, how was yours? And then I'll tell you about the conversations I had.
Hey, man, like yourself, I did the absentee voting, and this is my first time doing the absentee vote. I ain't going back.
Bro, just like I said, I ain't going back to the barber shop. I'm done.
So Todd done with the barbershop and the voting polls. Got it. No,
hey, bro. Mike, you ain't get to experience it, man. It's something different when it come to the house. And you ain't got to deal with going nowhere. Like, you can take your time.
So you did the real experience.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, they sent that Jane in the crib. Like, I got the ballot in the house. I got to scan through it a couple of times, like Ty.
Yep. I ain't feel pressure.
You know what I mean?
Like I was on a time constraint.
I know you
And
pulled up that YouTube University when you was going through the candidates. Like, let me see what this dude talking about real quick. I know he got to have some
facts,
scans.
facts. And then we got in the mail like this booklet that kind of took you through. Some information was missing because of candidates, I guess, didn't if they couldn't get in contact with them, they didn't put their responses in there. So then we had the result back to Google and all these other kind of searches. But we had a couple resources, man, that helped us out.
Hey, bro, it's a voting experience change for sure. Like, and it's a welcome one. I ain't
Yeah.
have to deal with y'all out here who been partying. Like, it ain't nothing going on out there. Like, I just got to do it for the safety of my own home.
Yeah.
I even dropped it off at the ballot place myself. I ain't even deal with USPS.
Well, that was smart. 'Cause-
Yeah.
yeah.
They gave me a little
For sure.
pin for dropping it off. They're like, "Oh, here, thanks for voting." Like, shoot.
Facts.
Love though. Oh man, look, I'm rusty, man. Look, I forgot to drop the cubes in the glass, everything. I'm out here slipping.
Hey, we'd already
Oh,
been
we
drinking. It's
good,
all
man.
good.
That's all right. Yeah, we kind yeah, for those listening, we kind of got started a little early, but we just hit record, but it's all good.
3 shots of whiskey in, baby. We hit the glass.
Hey,
We
Yeah, we
good.
man.
Let's
just
go get it.
it's been so long, man. We just got excited. I'm sorry.
That's right. That's right.
Damn right. Damn right. Well, Ty, you said you wanted to bring up something, man, about the voting. Like, what was you about to bring up?
Yeah, man. I had a conversation with a first year voter. This was their first eligible year. So I just I wanted to know what their experience was like, and so we had a little conversation about it. And for somebody, and I'm pretty sure it was also alarming and concerning. I guess I should say not alarming, but concerning because he got to the polls. He felt like a lot of manipulation coming from both parties or both popular parties um, that were present at the polls. People in support of Republican and people in support of Democrat. He felt pressured in trying to figure out, you know, which way do I go and do I vote this way? Do I vote that way? I'm sure he went in with some thoughts, but they seemed to make it a little bit more confusing. Especially when it was his first time, he didn't really know what to expect. Outside of that, he also was carrying some other loads to the polls with him, just like he mentioned a couple of movements that he was kind of following and watching along this whole journey leading up to election day, and also was a little irritated with him being having his own thoughts, not wanting to go all the way down the ballot one way, and just for that to be his first experience, all the leading up to it. We get all this mail, we get everybody kind of throwing their views at us, and if you're with this team, you should do this, and if you're with that team, you should do that. And a lot of that can weigh on a first time voter. We know a first time voter and their first eligibility, they're not old, they're young. And a lot of them sometimes have the thought process of like, is it worth me voting?
Right.
Is it really going to change something? But when we put pressure on them, the concerning part that I took away from the conversation is, man, is he gonna go back? Does he feel comfortable going back? Does he feel like his voice is gonna be heard? How is he gonna carry out, his life going forward after this experience? Is he gonna be as engaged as he was prior to all the things? Did he lose a little bit of love for it? Did he gain it? Is he more interested? All those things kind of pop up. But when we talk about unifying, and we've talked about this outside of voting, very broad. We've delved in a couple of topics that speak to um, being together and unifying for different causes. And this kind of is like a dividing factor, like because you're forcing, or not forcing, but you're trying to push people certain ways. So now, as I would, me personally, I'm gonna take a couple steps back because I don't like the confusion. I don't like the you trying to tell me I need to be like this. So I'm gonna remove myself from that group, but that breaks away the uniform. That breaks away from us unifying. And so, I
I
don't
can
know,
see
man.
how that can. Yeah, I can see how that could be difficult for a first time voter, man. Because just thinking about my first time voting experience, who did y'all first presidential wise? Who did y'all get to go vote for the first time? You ain't gotta say who you voted for, but like,
Who was that?
I know mine was Bush Kerry in '04. That was the first time I was eligible to vote in any election.
Pretty sure I would be the same then.
okay, because I
Yeah.
was, yeah, it would be the same one. Actually, it would be the same one. Um, that experience and how it was like coming in to do the voting, bruh, it could be intimidating. You know what I mean? Because everybody loud and proud, one way or another. You know
Sounds
what I
and
mean?
all.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it's just, man, I can only imagine this time because, like I've mentioned in the previous podcast, it won't so much blood and Crips as it is right now. Like
No, sir.
you
yeah,
could
It's
still
like
have
that
a
right now.
conversation with a person who saw it the other way, but now it's like,
Mm.
yeah. Yeah. And I'll be honest, I guess, and I don't know, how y'all where y'all voting precinct was at that time, but um, I guess it was kind of a little easier for me to really appreciate voting because my voting site was actually my old elementary school. So
yeah,
it was good kind of going back and and actually seeing some of my old teachers. You know what I mean? Like, oh my God, I can't believe like you're 18 now. You can actually vote. I'm like, oh my God, man. Like
mhm,
you
Mhm.
kind of realize like, oh man, like I've like it's a culmination of like all my school age years now coming unto this point. And then, all the things that I've learned, from family and just kind of like life experiences. So, at that time you're just kind of excited to vote. You might not necessarily know who you're voting for in that regard, but you can kind of understand the points and bases of what they're running off of and saying, okay, this is what I like, this is what I don't like. Um, but now in this day and time, these kids, that are 18, they got so much information right at their footsteps and right in their
mhm,
fingertips, that they're almost more well equipped than we were even at 18, or they should be anyway.
yeah,
With all the information that they have at their disposal and the amount of information that's being shared, not only just amongst their friends, out and about, but just socially, on social media. So, but it's interesting because that's also kind of skewed too. Sometimes your social media feed and algorithms can kind of have you leaning towards one way depending on what you like and what you don't like. So, and we kind of get to this thing where, recently there's been this huge movement or rumblings underneath at least the surface of, how can we avoid these algorithms and how can we avoid having each individual person have their own skewed reality
yeah,
because of what they see, on their social media feed or what information they're being, filtered through on even just their web browser. Like when you're on a computer, you're doing stuff at home and like you see certain ads popping up or you see certain things, trying to grab your attention or certain alerts that's going through. So it's a lot these days with these kids, man, and having societal pressures of that magnitude for your first time voting is like that's I pray that that the individual that you spoke with, I pray that they continue to do that, and I know they will because they got you in their corner, Ty, and they understand the importance of it. But yeah, man, that's wild.
hey,
Yeah.
listen to the mic. It sounded like you watched Social Dilemma recently.
Yeah, I actually watched it right at kind of the beginning of the pandemic. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And then it was funny. One of the guys, I think the guy from Facebook was actually on Bill Maher's show the other night. So I ended up watching that, and he was kind of going through the whole thing and was talking about it after the election and everything like that. So it was kind of interesting hearing him talk about it, in further and how everybody was kind of skewed with what was going on with the election, how people were trying to see different things, and how we got a society now where we got 51% of the country living in one realm of the society and reality and 40% living in another. So it's just kind of weird how we have that dynamic when we're supposed to be so connected and so easily accessible. This in these times.
Mm. Yeah, if you haven't seen that, Ty, it's a good view.
Oh yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotta add
'Cause
that to your list.
like, not to go off topic, because you know how I'll do, but like, I didn't know that they could actually see how long you look at a picture. You know what I mean? Like, that part threw me off. I was like, hold up.
Yeah.
Not just the likes and the comment stuff. They can actually dictate how long you look at certain stuff. So y'all people out there with that cheating mind, boy, y'all better get out of that. Keep on scrolling.
That's a fact.
Because they know what you like, boy.
So
Yes,
how long did you
sir.
fantasize over that photo?
You wonder why your Explore page look like all of them? That's why.
Yeah.
That's why. I know why Bria Miles keep popping up.
Oh man, I need some Explore page protection.
But yo, get back on. What was you about to say, Ty?
I was about to ask, like, because you mentioned, when we first started, being able to vote, you were able to, in some way, form, or fashion, like actually have a conversation, even with those that have opposing views. Um, Now, leading up to today's time, on the flip side, I had another conversation that with someone, and they felt very strongly against uh, their partner, and the
Ooh.
views were different, and it
Ooh.
led to an argument. And I didn't know if you guys had any of those conversations, but I I'm trying to understand, like I understand why, but your personal views. I can understand how you would be not approving of how someone voted, but to try and tell them how they should have voted based upon your views and not listening to their views, I think we missed a boat because we're assuming that they feel the same way about certain things, instead of having a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't know if y'all had any conversations or anything to add to that, but I felt it being very interesting, like how how two people were supposedly are a thing, and that this piece can lead to that type of uh, conversation. So yeah.
Hey, look, thank God I didn't have that. Then thank God we good over here. The people I talk to are good, so thank God they got that part of the equation taken care of.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Bruh, I could not imagine that's on Romeo and Juliet in this day and age right now. Like, that's
Oh
true
man,
blood versus Crips right there
Yeah.
in the house.
in the house. Yeah.
Man, I've seen it on social media where people be having like the husband put up the opponent's thing in the yard, and the wife in there just throwing them janks out in the street, and
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I mean, what I would say to those people, your household counseled each other out for that part of the vote, at least. If y'all was one of those people who voted one way only, like y'all votes are just counseling each other out, so y'all opinion didn't even matter. Y'all should have just stayed home.
Yeah.
Like, a house
Yeah.
divided ain't helped nobody in America.
Man, yeah, yeah. So
It's interesting, but like Ty was saying too. I think the main thing we gotta remember just having conversations. Like it's cool to be on one of the side or the other, but like just like to be like, yo, I'm not marrying somebody because you on this side. Like, what is that? Like you excluding a lot of people when you do that.
yeah,
And I think you got to follow your heart a lot of times. But if it's that crucial to you, you got to understand, like, what do you like? You got to understand, does that party owe you anything, or do you owe that party anything? So before you kind of try to choose your spouse, based on your political affiliation, like you gotta, what I mean, you gotta just take a look and kind of find out like what kind of person they are first and foremost. Like there's a reasoning why they might be voting that way, and it may be just one specific thing.
Yeah, could
Yeah.
have been taught that from growing up.
Mm-hmm.
right.
Mm-hmm.
That was a pretty interesting conversation to listen
Are
to.
they still together?
I mean, he just said it was an argument, so I assume he was gonna go back when he got off. I don't know. I I don't know. Yeah, I mean, that was interesting, man. Like I said, I was just the opening ear. It seemed like he just wanted to release that. So I was like,
Mm. I know they had to have a hard time last night, boy. Jeez.
"'Cause yeah, I mean, yeah, yeah,
seeing that Cupid Shuffle on TV down the street in DC off of
Oh
15th Street, boy,
man.
Pennsylvania Avenue. Yeah,
Oh man.
yeah,
Oh, you just don't know what people are challenged with.
Yeah.
that's true. I'm gonna tell you one thing though. He got to be doing better than Van Jones right now. That
Oh,
I
yeah,
can tell you.
you going right in there?
Yeah, man. We got to talk about Van.
All right, so let's give us some insight about Van Jones, man.
So all
Not
this
Van Lathan, Van
Van
Jones.
Jones for sure.
Stop confusing them.
Yeah, we're gonna get to that too. So all weekend long, really since Tuesday night, it's been nonstop round the clock coverage on all the major media networks from CNN, NBC, and CBS about the election coverage. And CNN, of course, has one of their political contributors, Van Jones, was up there yesterday. And as the votes were being tallied, and it seemed like Biden's lead, or President-elect Biden's lead, was growing. A lot of networks were a little hesitant to call it. The Associated Press, was a little hesitant along with all the other networks. But eventually it got to the point where the lead had just kind of grown insurmountable. There was no way that Trump was going to win Pennsylvania. So at that point, that's really all Joe Biden needed was Pennsylvania with the most electoral votes at that time to get him over the number of 270 that he needs to win the presidential election. And once they made that call yesterday, they went to every particular pundit on television, down from Abby Phillips to even Rick Santorum, and they panned to Van Jones, and
Womp womp.
and let's just say he let the levees break last night or yesterday afternoon on he let him break on national television yesterday, and made the claim that hey man, this is a good day for good people. Good people do finish first, and he shed a few tears, and he shared a story about his kids and what he can tell his kids now. And there was a lot of people that I saw on my timeline and my feed, both Instagram and Twitter yesterday, that they applauded his effort. But there was a part of Black Twitter and Black Instagram that did not really care for anything that Van Jones had to say yesterday, and they slightly reminded him with photos. And if nobody remembers, Van Jones has been a part of the criminal reform bill that was passed, and of course, Meek Mill, Jay-Z, and others have been a part of that as well. And he happened to be one of the few people that actually went to the White House in this regard, and was taking photo ops, and was actually sitting there smiling with the likes of Jared Kushner, and was sitting next to Donald Trump Jr., and was seen even handing President Donald Trump, a pin of some sort, of having a jovial moment in the White House, in the Oval Office, at that. So yeah, they took a lot of time yesterday to remind Van Jones of that, and then for him later that night, once President-elect Biden, President-elect Kamala Harris were scheduled to speak, after their speeches were done, which were eloquently stated from both parties, he goes on there in jubilation and goes, for Kamala to walk out to Beyonce, and that's where you hit the brekes.
Double whammy.
Van, that's not Beyonce. That's not Beyonce, bro. It's Mary J. Blige. It's not Beyonce. I know all Black women look alike, but they're not. Okay, and some women, some women said, he wouldn't know a black woman if it hit him in the face, and it's kind of rough. You know what I mean? I'm not, but that's the vitriol that he got yesterday on social media. So he didn't have a really good day yesterday from a social standpoint.
Damn. Damn.
Wow.
Damn.
What a guy.
And that's if there's one thing we all know, you cannot confuse anything Beyonce. And you do not get. There's no coming back for that one. I don't care how great the other person is. You cannot ever in your life say Beyonce name in vain the wrong way. Like, oh,
ask Carrie Hilson.
Oh God.
Yeah.
She's still trying to come back.
Still.
Yeah, them numbers is too high for B.
Yep. Yeah, that beehive was buzzing yesterday. He got stung.
Wow. All right, so I'll play a little devil's advocate. We got time. What's the difference between like trying to how should I phrase this? How is it any different for Van Jones to have had these conversations or use Trump when he was in office to get what he wanted out of him, even though he didn't agree with anything about him?
Mm-hmm.
What's the difference of what he was trying to do and what the people are yelling at him about, and like someone trying to have that conversation across the room?
Honestly, I don't really think there is much of a difference. You know what I mean? I think it may be how you come across. I think that the delivery and execution is always important, but it's kind of hard to tell from a photo op. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, if he, said a few things or did this and did that, it was one thing. But, I definitely think, he definitely caught some heat for how he executed that whole, getting his plan done. But, hey, he got it done, and honestly, a lot of young brothers are walking the streets today that were wrongfully convicted. So, I tip my hat to him for that, but that's about it.
Okay. I just wanted to, not to saying that that's how I feel, but, because, yeah, dude was 45 or something else. But, yeah, some people out there is going to wonder. They're going to be like, well, shouldn't we be trying to work with whoever we can work with? A couple of people come to mind when I think of it, but we've talked about them already, so I don't need to bring them up in this situation. But, some people just feel that you got to work with whomever as long as they're helping your people out.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I also have a certain way of views of how a lot of us, it's not democracy we're upset at. It's just the fact that we can't participate in it is what they upset at. And I think a lot of people need to kind of figure out what those two mean, like reform and actually turn down a system.
I mean, that is important because you can have people only supporting a certain group of people. Like they can all look the same, but we all the same, but we have different views. We got different opinions. We're middle class, low class. We all of that. But it just seems like when they get on that stage, they're only targeting a certain percentage of us. It ain't always. It's not for the greater good of all. Even if we only talking about African Americans.
Yeah.
We only talking about, we talking about these African Americans. Not all of them, just these ones.
Yeah.
And that's a disservice. And it also sets the tone to the people that we're trying to work with. Like, we only need to service this percentage of African Americans. Because that's the only ones they care about. That's the only ones they keep bringing up to our faces. So why are we going to worry about the other ones? It seems like this little percentage of African Americans right here, it just seems like they're the only ones that really can comprehend or can get on the boat because we allow them to, because they have like minds like us. And it's like, fuck all the other ones, but give me them.
My people. Yep.
Like, dang.
Yep.
And Van should have known what he was going to get himself into when he did that. So, you kind of got to know that kind of energy you're going to receive when you make that decision, good or bad. So you just got to take it, how it comes. And just know if your main goal is to help your people, do that. But don't do it because you're trying to get cool points.
Well, I mean, he do run with Jay-Z.
That he does.
And Jay-Z is also one of the people y'all be upset at.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm not exactly 100% sure what we're arguing about, folks, but I'm not picking a side in it at all because you know what? All of them in a different tax class than I'm in.
Yeah.
Right. We're not even talking about the same issues.
You know what I mean? So, one of the things that stepped off, let's go. Congratulations to Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. You know, they was, like Mike said, they were given the official declared winner announcement yesterday, or winners. But what I wanted to ask is the big thing that stood out to me yesterday is what Joe Biden was saying was he wants to unite America back again. Do you think that's something that the president is able to do? Any president, whether it would have been Biden, whomever. Do you feel that that's something that the president dividing and uniting is that a power of theirs? And if so, how?
I think it. I think they can contribute to it. I think they can help lead uh, those that need the numbers to make decisions with. So right, like he can't pass a bill or pass a law solely by himself. But when his views only align with a certain party's views, Republican or Democrat, doesn't matter which one, when we're not aligning across the board. For example, I mean, we could talk about well, they've been talking about a second stimulus package for how long? So like, who does it affect? Is it for the greater good of all, or is it like it's always tug of war? And I feel like he would have to influence those making those decisions in that room to be on one accord. But I think they've been driven so far to go against each other. It's never been the greater good of all. It's whose side can negotiate better and pull off the law or write the law to support their views better in numbers. It's never been about we're gonna do this for every American. It's always lopsided to me, if you ask me personally. But I feel like he could contribute to us getting there. Now, when we hear um, how a president speaks and what he says and how he carries himself, that, as you can see, can create a large following of people. Not only do you got people in the same house that he sleeps in, with his views, well, you've curated a large group of people with the same thoughts. And if you're only shouting to them, you're tailoring your message to one group of people. You're not even touching other people. You're only tailoring your message to one group of people. So I feel like he can. I feel like he can influence that to a degree. He can't do it by himself. Obviously, he's gonna need support. But I feel like if he could start with leading that way and listening to both sides, not trying to overrule and make everybody think like you, actually listening to both sides and coming together to figure out what's best for all. But then the question remains is, all right, this law that we pass, is it going to benefit? Because it's going to benefit somebody. There's no way that you can please everybody. So then you go back to, you know, how are we going to make everybody happy? That is impossible. If that's if that's the angle that you're asking the question from. But could we lead people to be more inclusive? Could we pass more inclusive laws? Could we touch multiple people as opposed to a couple of people? I think the answer is yes.
I mean, you put a stamp on that.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, listen. I know he says it's his job, but it's really not his job. the job of unification is the greater man and women, and it's going to be very hard to unify everybody. You can only unify the people that want to be unified, that want to be equal. And there's a large, well, I won't say large, but there's a good portion of this world that still doesn't want things to be equal. They still want things to be the way that they were. So that requires more than just laws, policies. That requires a genetic and mental makeover of epic proportions, which I don't think we'll probably ever see in our lifetime. We can start planting those seeds, but as far as getting it to that level of unification that we need to move forward, no. But can we unify in small blocks? Can we unify in large groups and kind of parlay this society to uh, a more amicable place to be? For sure, 100%. But it's a lot of ingrained, inherited, and just stuff that's just there. It's embedded, and it's hard to shake it unless you really have people that's really willing to make that change and in their heart know that, all right, this ain't right. But you know, and that's just how it's gonna be. And I hope he does what he can do, but he won't be able to get as far as we're willing to allow him to go. So as a society, we got to do our part to make sure that he can get the things in place that he can get on both sides, and he can be as bipartisan as possible. But he has an obligation to the Democratic Party to get both sides. There's a division there to get both sides on the same page, from the old moderates to the progressives. And he's got an even larger task at hand to ensuring that the conservatives in the GOP can come to the table and put their pearls and pettiness aside and say, we're willing to go to work, try to make a better society for our citizens, the people that put us in office.
Y'all make this so easy, bro. I don't even gotta add nothing. Dang, I love it. Yeesh.
Oh man.
Love thy neighbor, man. We gotta get back to that mentality, man.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
'Cause, I mean, yeesh. There's a lot of hate, man. A lot of evil in the world, man. I think just doing a little bit, as a little, just a little bit, to kind of break that up, man. Because I think a lot of people be hating people they don't even have true conversations with, or even have that sit down or have that moment, you know what I mean, to understand where that hate come from and why that hate could be mischanneled. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? I joke around. I say the Bloods and Crips thing a lot, but I mean, for real, it's so real, because you fighting over a color, you fighting over a thought process. Like, what makes us all unique is that we all can think of things and see things in a different point of view. So cherish that. You know what I mean? And be okay with being wrong, or be okay with like hearing somebody else's opinion be different.
Absolutely.
Like, I ain't trying to tell y'all how to live, man. I'm just trying to get y'all a little perspective. That's all.
Yeah.
But that just stood out to me yesterday, because he kept saying the unite thing, and that other party don't talk like that ever. We never heard somebody on that side say anything about uniting anybody.
At all. At all. And they're very sneaky with their power. But and honestly, when you're in that power, you can do that. But some people got to also know, like, it's cool to be one way, but we also got to exert our power too. So sometimes you gotta get your hand dirty, man, and get in the dirt. But to make things equal, you gotta come to the drawing board. So I'm with my brother Bruce, man. Like, look, let's just get back to loving that neighbor.
Yeah.
Let's see if he could unify the damn Democratic Party. How about that? Because AOC was out here giving it up. I don't know if y'all peeped that.
Yeah, I did. That's gonna be interesting. That's really gonna be interesting.
And if y'all didn't, she basically told y'all old motherfuckers, get out the way and include us in these conversations.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of the older folks who really push these narratives that got these young people out here is fucked up. Y'all not out here fighting these wars no more. So you either gotta groom them or they're gonna get you up out the way.
That's a fact.
And that exactly. Ain't no other option there.
I mean,
It's gonna be interesting to see how that works, because they have a very nice faction of people in Congress, in the House, that really just, they want to see change, and they want to see things specifically to help better the society. Like they're on the grounds. Like some of the moderates that's in the House and the Senate, they not in the streets with the people for real. Like they not out touching anybody's hands for real. Like they're in their offices and their cabinets. They go on a vacation. They go into all the parties because it's cool. But like, are you guys really in the street asking your citizens what they want? The people that put you in that seat.
Yeah.
So they got, the moderates got a lot of work to do. But like Jim Kleinborg said yesterday, when he was on CNN, he definitely is trying his hardest to unify. But he also can't go in there making backhanded comments either.
Yeah.
Like if you really want unification, say that. Just don't try to add a little sauce to it at the end. Try to be like, we need everybody. We can't do all y'all want. No. Do you want everybody to come together or not? Simple as that. And that means sometimes even tailoring and tempering your own ego for a little bit.
Hey, look, I'll tell you something that he could do to help me, and a whole bunch of motherfuckers out here right now. If he did this, in his first 90 days, if he can knock down some of this damn student loan debt, oh, buddy.
Hey, listen.
Oh, man.
Social media was on fire yesterday because somebody said that he made that comment back in May when he was on that campaign trail and said that he was going to knock student loan debt off. So, yeah.
I saw it. Yep.
We need to we're gonna hold them to that and a whole lot of other things.
Number was like 50,000. 50,000 do me pretty right
now. Hey, that's a fact. Matter of fact, if it ain't, can we get that credit for that 50,000?
Let me get something slided through. Let's go.
I
mean, come on, man. Because I know education ain't cost that much, bro. All these damn interest, all that interest, bro. That my when I signed up for my classes, bro. I remember how much they were. I don't know what this number is right here, but bro, it wasn't my bill when I left. I understand how it works, but jam, help a brother out.
You know what I mean?
That's a fact.
Somebody somewhere.
HBO.
Yeah, bro, please. Somebody somewhere been living lavish for a long time.
Hey, boys.
I know y'all got it. Y'all don't need no more.
Yep.
All them executives of Salad Make going to boy every year off our ass. We need that. Pay what you owe, man. We need that
back.
They're
the ones in Tulum right now.
Yeah. That's a fact.
Yeah. But nah, man, like, come on, man. Like, get this stuff together, bro. Like, y'all still over here fighting about stuff that's just outdated, antiquated information. Like that. Let's get this real stuff going on here that can help these young people out, man. And I hope this will be the last time we have somebody a battle this old. You know what I mean? Or two individuals this old, like of that age.
Yeah.
Like, it should have definitely been somebody of that age at a vice president role, not at a president role. On both sides.
I can support that. That's just like just to tie it into sports. That's like a old head that ran his course and he on the bench, but he's still coaching the young dudes up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
What was your old Steelers defensive coach? What was his name? He was way old. He used to be on the tight.
Yeah. God,
he picked him up a little bit.
To my Dick LeBeau.
Yeah,
there you go. Yep.
There you go.
LeBeau out here still running around in the streets. But he ain't never trying to get at no head coach position. He's like, look, I got the defense. I give some education on how I used to work. And that's it.
It's my pocket. I'm going to stay in it.
Yep. Yeah. Well, let me ask you guys this question. What are three things that you would like to see our president and vice president elect do in their first 90 days or really just first year? Like what would you like to see them do, especially with some of the things that they, comments and promises that they made in the campaign trail, or just things that you know of in general? What are 3 things that you guys want to see them do in their first year in office?
I already gave you one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
student loan, boy.
That one got to stay for me too.
Yep. And while we on it, while we still talking about it, this whole housing situation,
Oh my
that'll help too.
gosh.
That'll help too. And I'm not one of the people out here telling them, thinking like the government is going to be the one who fixed the COVID issue, because that's just too far from the truth. However, if we could figure out something about this healthcare, them prices too damn high. I don't care what side you on. Even if you got money, that shit too high.
Facts.
So you fix those up. And I ain't expecting those in the 90 days. I know you asked for 90 days, but
we need to start putting some types of plans together for them.
exactly.
What about you, Ty? I know you said student loans was one.
Man, I don't even know if I can go against that. I mean, because I'm experiencing all of those. This whole housing situation. I'm facing that right now, and what's being offered. Healthcare. I ain't gonna lie. I've never really understood healthcare from the standpoint of I'm paying monthly, and I still got to pay when I go to a visit. I understand that in network, out network, but damn it, I'm in network and I'm still having to pay for something.
Yeah.
Like I'm
So you
like,
gotta
what
come
the-
out of pocket.
like, I done did that research. God damn, like I know I'm in network. He in network. That's what it says on the plan. And y'all still asking me for some money. Come on, man.
And
He
that's
said he
exactly
in
why I
network
said
with
that
he-
shit too high.
Yeah.
Too expensive.
What you want me to give you down?
You
He
get
said-
money out my check. Every check you get money for
You
it.
taxing me
And I still
every
gotta come
check.
in here and pay it. Like, what is this? The upfront? I'm gonna get this back? Like, what? How does work?
Nah, that's just gone, bro.
Boy said he in network and in my pockets, man. Can relax.
You ain't lying. Come on, man. Let me live a little bit.
That's hilarious.
That's why you want to be real talk. Like, that's why a lot of people don't go to dang on doctors.
Hey, that is you right. You're right. You're absolutely
That's
right.
that's very true. That's very true.
We fortunate we got insurance. There's some people out here who don't have insurance, and I know what I pay with insurance when I go see the doctor. So I really be feeling for the people who don't got it,
Yeah.
and they got to come out of pocket.
Yeah, and seeing some of these COVID estimates that I've seen, like it's and I know just even with my personal experiences with relatives and grandparents going through the stuff that they went through and knowing how some of their stuff was tens and thousands of dollars. Like I can only imagine somebody staying in the hospital for 3 months with COVID-19 and the respirators and the ICU units and the transportation back and forth to different floors. I can only imagine what that bill is going to be, and I can only imagine that insurance is probably going to say, "Yeah, we're not covering that."
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, I mean, can we
So-
talk about prescriptions though? Like,
yeah,
how is it
Oh,
the
yeah,
same
for
medicine
sure.
and it's going up like rent?
bruh. They be
Listen.
having a bootleg. Look, you be getting a replica medicine, and that shit still be high.
High as gas.
Yes.
How you give me the generic allergy medicine? It's $25. Like, fam, this was $10 last year. What the hell did y'all do different?
Exactly.
Like, my allergy's still fucked up.
Supplies didn't change. Like, it ain't like we short nothing. So like,
That's
y'all in
what
the
I'm
lab
saying,
cooking
like,
it up.
Yes. And it's on the medicine. It's on a lot of prescription that the elderly community needs. So they can't go
Mhm.
without it. And so you know that. And then you still inflate it.
Yeah.
Listen, so all right, I'm gonna get my 3. We can go back to that because
Oh,
I
yeah,
wanna ask y'all another
because
question.
what was your 3, Mike? Because we didn't even ask you.
no. You good. No, so,
Going off.
so I listen. First of all, y'all already know. Number 1 is definitely that student loan. I agree with both of y'all. When Bruce said that, I was like, yes, sir. I listen. I got that tweet saved. I'm
Hey,
waiting to
bruh,
throw it back.
it's easy too, man.
Yeah.
It's easy.
Yeah,
Bruh, that's ridiculous. But go ahead, bro.
yeah. So student loans will definitely be one. Healthcare would definitely be number 2. For me, and like both of you guys have said, some of this stuff is too high. And then I also think too, there needs to be a restructuring of how insurance companies are operating. I
Mhm.
think there needs to be a reform of insurance companies and how what they're allowed to not allow and what they're allowed to permit from what is actually covered. If I'm
Mhm.
paying you a certain amount of money a month, why are you telling me what's covered and what's not?
Mhm.
Um, Especially if hell, I go 2 years and I don't cost you guys but $40 a year. And then the moment something happens, you guys can tell me no. I've invested 2 years of my money in you guys. I should have a little stake to say, you know what? We understand this is a very unfamiliar circumstance that you're dealing with. We're going to go ahead and cover you. And it's got to be kind of like, this has got to be a system where it's got to work for both the insurance companies and the people that's insured. I think sometimes denying people with pre-existing conditions is god awful because they can't. Some of the people can't control that. And if I happen to change jobs, my spouse should never have to suffer because the insurance company doesn't quote cover pre-existing conditions, or my
Mhm.
grandparents, or my mom or dad, anybody. So insurance is definitely something I would like to see, and it's going to be interesting. Being that the guy that co-wrote the bill is going to see what he's going to do with the
Yeah.
current insurance plan that's in place right now. So um, that's going to be interesting. And I would say three. I was going to do housing, um, but I also do one that I didn't hear you guys mention, which was a small business. I think there definitely needs to be a small business package that is going to get to the actual small businesses. I don't need Ruth Chris. I don't need Steak and Shake. I don't need y'all applying for any loans or any grant money. Small businesses that are suffering, that have closed due to this pandemic because people are not going to these establishments. People had to lose their livelihoods. And I think right now we need to make sure that the fabric of our country is behind people that can grow and start and be entrepreneurs. Like
Yeah.
especially for us in the black community. Like there's too much going on where I want I personally my personal preference is I want our community to be able to be self sufficient on our own. I want us to be able to create textile businesses. I want us to be able to create large financial institutions. I want us to be able to create businesses and companies and conglomerates that we can go to where we don't necessarily have to use some of these companies that really don't appreciate us. All they appreciate is our dollar.
Hmm.
And if you're not going to stand for us or stand with us, then we're not going to stand or support you anymore.
Yeah.
So I want us to have an equal playing field in that aspect so we can go ahead and make our own, and not just from a business standpoint, just from a wealth standpoint. We need black wealth to be able to continue and last throughout generations. So, and sometimes small businesses and creating your own business is sometimes the best way to get to that point, along with life insurance and things of that nature. So I just want, I definitely, and I heard he's also mentioning something about having grants for small businesses up to $50,000 where they can go ahead and actually get financial and accounting resources at their disposal so they can hire people to make sure that they have all their ducks in a row. So it's something I've heard, but I want to kind of hold them to it because I definitely want to make sure that gets passed because there's a lot of small businesses that are suffering, and there's some that could really use that to get to the next level if they want to and do things and create jobs
Yep.
for people that are just sitting at home and not having to do anything. People that have lost their jobs
Hmm.
behind this pandemic. So this that's those are my three. Those are the three things I was definitely thinking about for sure.
That's a good one.
Hey, look,
That's a real
from
good
the
one.
sounds of it, it sounds like 50K that number. Why don't we just?
For sure, for sure.
I'm talking about a stimulus check. Why don't y'all send that 50K check to everybody? Everybody get a 50K check. We gonna strike the jet.
Yeah, for sure.
50K. If you ain't go to college, you got a business, you still your business. You
Yeah,
you went to college, you got them loans, you got to pay. Here, pay that off.
yeah,
Yes, sir.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
even up this playing field a little bit, man.
for sure,
Yeah.
for sure, for sure. Yeah, I wanted to ask y'all about it was something that was on my mind, and I thought when we mentioned it about um a small, the money and the insurance things like that. How do you guys feel like the decision is going to come down to the Supreme Court and the decisions and the moves that were made before all this come down? Do you feel like we're going to have it where people are going to end up losing their insurance and they're going to get rid of Obamacare? 'Cause that is a very big issue that we're having right now that we're going to run across in the coming weeks and months, due to this transition of the new presidency. So I'm kind of curious to get you guys' thoughts on that, and if you guys are familiar with that, with the Supreme Court justice now being stacked more for conservative favor, and them actually coming out and being more forthcoming, in how they're going to sway their votes in regards to that. So um, we still got a month and a half, maybe 2 months actually, of Agent Orange still being in office. So there's a lot of things that he still has the power to do with control of the Senate still, as we speak, and the Supreme Court. So I just want to get y'all opinion on that, and how y'all think that should how that's going to shape how we go forward as a country.
Unfortunately, these checks and balances that was created, I mean, they don't check and they don't balance nothing.
Mm.
Unfortunately, because it just seemed like I'm expecting the worst and hoping for the best. I'll just say it that way.
Yeah, I mean, this was also a part of the plan to remain in control of that aspect of things, and unfortunately, we will have to live with that, and I don't see a lot of positivity when it relates to the healthcare situation because numbers control the world, and right now we don't have those numbers.
What's your thoughts, Mike?
I agree. I agree with both of y'all, and honestly, I think it's going to be interesting to see what moves he decides to make, because I know he wants to get rid of Obamacare, and if he happens to get rid of the Affordable Care Act, there are going to be over a million. Well, of course, the number's large. There's more than a million, but there's going to be millions and millions of people that are going to be out of healthcare coverage. And Bruce, you alluded to earlier, we are very fortunate enough to have healthcare, with our jobs and the places that we work. And if we had to get it privately, we at least have the means to be able to afford private insurance. But it's a lot of people that aren't in that situation, and there's a lot of people that have more pressing needs and more pressing health issues, as far as making sure they got 3 kids that need to take care of, and with the conditions that kids are in, whether it's special needs and things of that nature. It's going to be very hard to really be able to look somebody in the eye and say that, hey, sorry, but you don't have healthcare insurance anymore. And that's the plight that we're in right now, especially with this administration and their need to just try to undo everything that the previous administration done. It's sickening. But I just hope that I hope that President-elect Biden is actually going to look into this. Like Ty said, money controls everything. So lobbyists for all these insurance companies that they've consolidated throughout the years, it's going to be interesting to see how they make decisions, because how are you guys going to push this through now? Because if we do happen to lose the Senate, those 2 Senate seats in Georgia, and we don't get control, or at least don't have a majority, then what? So now we're looking at it from a standpoint of what is the president going to do now when people don't have health insurance, and you have to fight this battle now, not just for the foreseeable months, but the foreseeable future for years now. Like how do you do that? Do you wait 2 years and tell somebody that they can't get covered? Like that's going to be impossible.
It's unfortunate too, because there's a lot of people on that other side of that base that supported them breaking it up, and they the ones who also are recipients
Mm-hmm.
of Affordable Healthcare Act. So
Facts.
sometimes people want to cut their nose, spite their face. And I just don't understand that whole logic of thinking.
They ain't thinking.
But hey, I'm just dude on a podcast trying to twist the way it's playing something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nah,
Exactly.
you're right, bro. You're right.
Hey man, but did y'all go out? Did y'all go out and celebrate yesterday?
Go out. So no, sir.
No.
No.
Nah. I'm not. I'm not getting COVID-19.
All right. All right.
No, I was right here.
I enjoyed watching it from the seat of my house, but hey man, y'all be safe out there, bro. Y'all be safe out there. I love y'all. Love it back, and just stay safe, man, because we still in the midst of a pandemic.
Yeah, that ain't changed.
I was actually kind of surprised that they allowed all the people out there last night with no mask on at the speech. I
Well,
was really surprised to see that last night.
everybody I saw had masks on.
It was a few times that I like. It was one lady that I saw with her two daughters, which was a very touching scene. Um, but yeah, they ain't had no mask on. She like all of them was sitting there close, and it was a few times I looked. I was like, man, this ain't. And everybody out in the street doing electric slide with no mask on.
Mm.
It was a few. I was just like, hold on, man, hold on.
Hey man, look,
Yeah.
I know y'all want to get out here, man, but it's just not. Nah,
Yeah.
nah.
I
Well, I'm
gotta
about to
ask
get
y'all
that.
something real quick. I had an experience I wanted to share with y'all. That I had this week. We're gonna go in a bit of a different direction, but it's sort of relatable. 2020 has had its social issues, racial issues, um, equality issues, and things of that nature. We spoke about companies uh, putting together these inclusion and diversity plans and things of that nature. But before I share my experience, I just want to ask the question: like, have you guys been invited by your companies to participate in any form of fashion thing like this, like any type of new programs or inclusion things that they're trying to put in place?
Man, my company got one coming up every other week. It feel like I
Really?
just don't.
Okay.
I be trying to separate my, like it's got to be separation for church and state, man. Like, how about for me? The main thing I want for them is to just make sure there ain't nobody being like targeted against because of race or demographic stuff, man. Like that's it. I
Yeah.
don't need y'all to be out here making statements. I don't
Yeah.
need you to be out here trying to conduct these BLM meetings and stuff like that. That's just not what I'm here for.
Right.
Yeah, I'm with you, Bruce. I try to do that, and it was interesting actually seeing the emails that went out after the election and how there was emails that were going around and they were trying to encourage people to love thy neighbor and we're not going to tolerate anything with any discrimination regardless of who you voted for and things like that. So um I do think there needs to be some sort of separation in that for sure. Um, and I guess too, it's always weird to me because I feel like that should be stuff that should be done before now. Like, don't wait till
Mm.
we have situations in the street to try to create a diversity program. Like, your diversity program should have been created from which you establish a company. Like that, if that's what you stand on, if those are your values and morals,
Yeah.
um, you know what I mean, and or done years ago. If you just feel like there's been some issues that have been brought to light that you were unaware of, that's when you want to bring that program, and that should be something that should be offered to everybody coming at the door as soon as they get in. But the companies operate differently, and that's just how it works.
Okay. Well, I received an email like I believe it was last month. Um, and my direct manager had asked me to be a part of the said program, but not a lot of what it was going to be about. I mean, I could read between the lines. So the day came. It was last week, where the room was about maybe 10 of us. So this was our district leadership, along with some African Americans, some Hispanics, some Caucasian folks. We were all at a sort of a round table. and kind of opened it up where with along your career path, have you ever what type of stories do you have that can help us get to a better place, resulting around diversity and inclusion? And so at first, they we always sort of have these kind of conversations, but not on this topic, right? When VPs and things of that nature come in town, they want you to be positive about whatever you say. You can say whatever you want, but have it tailor your message to positivity, not everything that's going wrong. So I'm used to that. So when they first asked me, I was like, I really don't know what you want to hear because I know how this could this could affect me. So I started off mildly, I'd say. And once it got around the room, others started to share a little bit more. So I found an opening in the conversation to give a little bit more insight of how I felt. And I basically said, along my 8 years with the company, I don't see a lot of people that look like me in certain positions. And um, what can we do to get to that place? And I gave some examples. So it wasn't I didn't come just spitballing. I when I decided to make a comment and to share my thoughts and experiences, I I I felt I articulated them to a point of having supporting details. Because you could just say stuff, but if it doesn't make sense, it's gonna go in one ear or out the other. So I provided supporting details for how I felt. I was like, hey, we go to these meetings at every year. Leaders of every district and everywhere gather, and a lot of the people in high places don't look like me. But we have a career path diagram. It kind of shows you the scale of you do this, you do this, you do this, you do this. As long as you're doing it successfully, obviously, this is where you can go. But there's a thing called LinkedIn, where I can also see peers everywhere in their journeys. So after I first initially said how I felt, my district leader didn't really have an answer, which I really wasn't expecting him to have an answer. They were there to get ideas, so I shared my ideas, and he welcomed them. But then he went and said something to the fact of, it takes time to get people in VP roles. Like it takes time to put people here. It takes time to put people here. So my thought process was like, this isn't a new company, so I don't know how much time you really need. Um, but I felt like if I can go to LinkedIn and I can see people's career paths and I align myself with those, they don't look the same and they don't take as long and they go further in shorter periods of time. But long story short, we also voiced that, in order for this to be of some success at all to anybody, it's going to take some consistency. Some consistency in the time and in the way we're getting this information. Doesn't really seem right, and they agreed with that. But only time will tell. I just wanted to kind of share my experience with you guys because that was the first time I ever really spoken out in that manner, um, to district leaders. And I didn't know if you guys had that experience as well.
Nah, because I would be terrified of retaliation. So,
and I was.
Yeah. Like even when they be doing the little surveys, that's supposed to be anonymous, I still just be like, I don't know who. Like,
and I felt I explained it very well after the meetup or whatever. I asked certain people that I felt comfortable with. He was like, man, I didn't seem like the black mad guy in the room, did I? Was like, no, I was like, because I shared that point as well. I was like, well, you have You have new employees that come in and they don't see a lot of people that look like us, so they're not going to voice their opinions because they don't feel like they have protection.
Mhm.
And once you get into that mindset of like, "Hey, I can't really voice this to you when I'm unhappy," the turnover rate is gonna grow. 'Cause who am I gonna go and tell, and are they really gonna support me? Is this gonna be a strike against my employment here when I get a when I if I move on and someone asks for a reference, obviously that's unlawful to do, to give them more than the basics. How long do they work here? Are they rehirable? But you never know. You
Yeah.
really just never know. And, I voiced that, and, I felt I did it as respectful as I could. So we'll see how it goes, but that was a new experience for me this week that I just wanted to share with y'all.
Proud of you, bro.
Absolutely proud of you, man, and keep doing it because I think they need to hear that. And I know it's definitely difficult because you always, like Bruce said, you fear that retaliation um, aspect of it because you just don't know because it's always that preconceived notion of you already before you walk
Mhm.
in the door. And
Yep.
the moment you say something the moment you speak a truth that they don't want to hear or they don't want to accept, then it's like, well, we'll see how you feel now. So there
Yeah.
is that aspect to it. But I honestly, I've had that conversation a few times with a few different people, and I think my last job that I had, I actually had a conversation with a manager that actually looked like me, and he was brought on. Um, he was brought on to to kind of to move up along the ranks, and we had a conversation where he asked me to about something which it didn't sit right with me, and I replied back very nicely within the email context that that didn't sit right with me, and I was just kind of wanting to know an explanation as to why. And I got a reply back and said that I don't need to give you an explanation. Just trust me on this. Yeah, that didn't sit too well with me, and we had to have a conversation. And I had to kind of tell him, I said, look, man, I respect you. I appreciate the jobs you're doing, but the tone in which it comes from, and then how the hypocrisy of where it's coming from, because nobody else is getting this. So don't single me out. And if you are, at least let me know why you're doing it and what you're doing it for. Because I don't want to be used as a ploy or a pawn in a grand scheme of a game that's bigger. Because people end up getting hurt in that aspect, especially not when you mess with my livelihood. You mess with my my job, my money.
Yeah.
So and we had to have a conversation, and then after that, everything was fine. I think sometimes you approaching people from that respectable standpoint can kind of garner the respect that you need to kind of move forward. And sometimes it's
Mhm.
always different when some people are new; they might not know you that well. So that's you never want all the other interactions were fine. It's just that one interaction that kind of comes off, and it's like, okay, now I'm gonna put you to the side now. Like I just know how you are. That's cool, and vice versa. So once you've done that, you kind of build that trust up, and you understand, like, hey, this is what it is, and this is what I expect from you, and we can all be on the same page and move forward.
That's helpful. Definitely helpful for the folks out there, man.
For sure.
Y'all better than me. I'll just be quitting. Fuck that.
Oh no,
Uh,
shortly after that conversation, I definitely did.
yeah,
I
yeah,
definitely put my
yeah.
notice in for sure. But it's just I think, and Bruce, you honestly say it's a fear, man. It's a fear because we are already looked at differently, so we have that fear, and that's something that I think a lot of people know that too. But unfortunately, and you know, I just think we have to uh like Ty said, you never want to be that angry black person, but I think sometimes it's a way of coming across and how you come across.
Yeah,
Where
because I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
no, you get. I just think it just this it's got to be ways that we got to come across better because we have that stuff, and you know what I mean. We kind of just go through those things, and And like, when you leave, that's when they were like, "Damn, we really missed this dude. We should have never let him left." Like, yeah, you're
Mhm.
right. You should have treated me better. You should have treated me right when I was here.
Damn,
But
that shit sound like some Keisha Cole songs or something. Shoulda known
Uh,
better.
Oh man, that
uh,
is a fact. You best around singing, listen to Keisha Cole in the AirPods, and walking out the door. You mad as hell. Um,
oh
but yeah,
man,
like, yeah.
yeah.
And honestly, and I've seen that with even with black women, and black women get it a lot too. I think they kind of get it a lot worse in those situations, especially because it seems that they're in more managerial positions. So whenever they do speak out, they're looked at as loud and obnoxious and angry, and that's not always the case either.
I mean, a lot of times it's not. I mean, they they shooting you straight, and you don't want to hear it.
Mm-hmm.
Facts.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's I mean that, that's sort of the name of the game I found in corporate America. You know, you got to watch how loud you are, depending on what you look like, because it can be perceived as angry and aggressive. And that's their way of um, kind of their insurance policy when it gets to HR. Know what I'm saying? Like, well, this behavior was very aggressive, and we can't have that in the workplace. And it's like, nah, they were they weren't angry and aggressive, because when you're angry and aggressive, you just know how to put it in paperwork. You don't really talk about
And that's the key. You
it.
gotta do it in paperwork.
Yeah,
I don't be yelling at nobody. I put it in an email.
yeah.
So that way, if it did go to HR, look, this is what I said. Exactly how I said it.
You got that paper trail.
But not
Yeah,
even if you're yelling. It could be you just telling the truth.
I know. Let's not get it. Let's get it. Keep it clear. There's a lot of people in these people management roles
Yeah.
who don't know how to deal with people. So that's
Well,
why
that's
they
true.
get that excuse of
Mm.
he was acting loud or obnoxious, or he was very aggressive. So that's why I just put it in the email, because words mean things, and if you can't understand the words, then that's a bigger problem.
Right.
But if you try to escalate it into a different place and say, "Hey, this is in the tone. I feel like this is in the tone." It's an email, dog.
Yep.
Like it's in words. You
Yeah.
took those words
That's your
and felt it that
interpretation.
way. Yeah,
Yep.
Exactly.
exactly.
And hey, Bruce just dropped that gem on y'all. If y'all, for all the listeners that's listening, anytime you in a situation, you need a paper trail, baby.
Yeah.
Got to cover yourself.
Oh man.
I
That
definitely had a
saved me
manager who
several
tried
times.
to. Yes, I definitely had a manager try to do that whole. You send them an email, they try to come to you and talk to you. No, 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 no.
Now write that up.
Yeah, it's in an email for a purpose. Like
Yeah.
I ain't dial you up and say, hey, this is how I feel. No, I'll put it in an email, respond to it that way.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you ain't got to be rude when you say it. Just say, look, I greatly appreciate you coming over and saying this to me, but if you could put this in an email for me, I would greatly appreciate it as well.
Yep.
And
Yep.
just keep it moving.
It's a
Yeah.
lot of nasty backdoor conversations, man. And without that paper trail, they got they got your they can kind of project what your reputation was all about.
Yep.
So
Mhm.
anything from being in a managerial role, anything that I talk to an employee about, it is documented, because if it's not documented, it never happened. So I timestamp them, and I've been called out. It's like, and then if I have, or I ain't gonna say if, because I always do it. When I respond back to that email with copies of what I talked about, now all of a sudden there's no issue. But they
Yep.
don't even address that there's no issue. They just don't respond.
Yep.
I was like, oh, word?
Left them on red.
You coming at me with that type of energy. And when I give you my documents now, everything's fine, but you don't acknowledge everything's fine.
Hey, bro, that's why I ain't trying to be no people manager. Like, I feel for y'all too, because, bruh, just how we started off in the beginning of how people is, man, it's tough out here to deal with people, but still love thy neighbor anyway, bro.
Yeah, you got
Yeah.
to, man.
And then it works where you got to manage your friends. Like,
Ooh,
fam, don't come ask me for PTO. You know you can't get this day off.
Oh,
ooh,
see, yeah, that's why I don't go in being no friend. You got those
yep.
managers that come in trying to be buddy buddy. Nah, no, sir. 'Cause then you set the wrong tone of that relationship.
Mm-hmm.
You ask them to do
And with
something, they want to get all like, man, what you trying to make me work hard? Like, we
Yep.
came to work, bro. So
And then you gonna be not at work. They want to talk about work stuff. Like, no, bro, 9
exactly,
to 5.
bro. My line is closed. Nobody called me after I was talking to nothing like that. If they call me, they know it better be of some importance.
Damn right. That's how it should be.
facts.
Man, look, man, we had a good one. Come back on episode. Come back like 2, 3.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Yeah, man.
Hey, man. Yeah.
Hey, man, y'all got any last pardon spots or pardon shots?
I ain't got much, man. I'm gonna jump in front of Mike because I know he's gonna like shut it down.
Yeah.
Hey, man. I hate going behind Mike, man.
Oh, I'm gonna surprise all y'all asses tonight. I ain't got nothing else to say.
Oh man.
I ain't got nothing to say, man. Just be blessed.
See, look,
Look, here you go. Here you go. I ain't got nothing to say, but this.
No, man. Honestly, that's it, man. Just be blessed. Love your family. Love yourself, man. And be safe in these streets. That's it.
Hey, man, I echo that. Yeah. Outside of being safe, though, man, keep that mind positive. Keep that energy. Keep that energy positive. Don't feel like you got to embrace all energies that are out there just because they're in your face all day. You can't turn your phone off. You can turn the news off. Like, give yourself a breather.
That's a fact. That's a fact. And you know what I'm gonna say, as always, man, stay curious, stay active, stay positive, you know, because the way you feel and think, it empowers your body in all sorts of ways. So if you keep positive, you're gonna have a positive mind, body, and spirit, man. So just do your best, man. And as always, wear your mask, because damn, man, COVID is still out there. It's still out there. I'm canceling Thanksgiving. That's over. Like, no. Wear your mask. So, but who want to close out tonight? Who want to end the show off? Or should I just go ahead and do it?
Man, I wrap.
Man,
I'll wrap it up,
red.
man. Yeah, I'll wrap it up, man. Hey, listen. Thank you all for tuning in to another installment of the Whiskey and Wisdom Podcast, episode 45, coming right to your head tops. Please follow us on all of our social media platforms. We're on Instagram, Whiskey and Wisdom Pod. Also on Twitter at Whiskey and Wiz, WISD1. Please make sure you also go subscribe, SoundCloud, Whiskey and Wisdom Podcast, Spotify, and Apple Music and Apple Podcasts, the same, Whiskey and Wisdom Podcast. And also, don't forget, please check us out. We got Normally the Question of the Day on Mondays. We got our promos on Tuesday. Wednesday is a new episode coming out. Thursday is always Thoughtful Thursday. And also, do yourself a favor and go to the website, whiskeyandwisdompodcast.com, and go stream, download, play that new Moody playlist from Bruce. And we got plenty others on there, and we got plenty more on the way. Until next time, for my brothers Bruce and Tyrone, this is Mike with the Whiskey and Wisdom Podcast. Peace.
Peace.